need someone who is like a master at grommets to come rescue me. Like, seriously. I'm having a very difficult time with my grommets. So, yeah. I'm having a very difficult time with my hands today, which may be why I'm having a very difficult time with the grommets. That could possibly be what's going on. Potentially. Most likely. It is. Hi, Gypsy. I'm having issues with grommets. So I thought I'd come on here and whine since I'm having issues with grommets. My new phrase for the next week when I get mad is going to be, well, grommet. Because me and grommets, we don't like each other. What is wrong with you, honeybee? Why ain't you? Okay, thank you. Starting to worry about you there, baby. Me and the grommets are not the best of friends. So I've not learned how to do them correctly. And plus I've got a bracelet down here underneath me I'm working on. So I probably need to focus on one thing at a time. But y'all know me. That never happened. Oh my goodness. Hi Denise. Hi Priscilla. Hi April. So I thought I'd come on here so y'all can make fun of me trying to get these grommets in, because I've been making some faces and saying some wordy dirts. No, I've not been saying wordy dirts. I've been saying, well, grommet. Which I guess is a dirty word to me now. Because I certainly don't like grommets anymore. At all. But I have to figure them out. Because I want to put them on some of these keychains to make them look nicer. If David leaves his stuff on the table while he's finishing it, I'm going to finish some of it my way. It's just the way it works around here. So I'm trying to add some pizzazz to these little keychains. Just some finishing touches, you know, just so they don't look so homemade. You know, even though I think homemade is cute, just so homemade. So I'm just trying to put a little bit of pizzazz in them. Oh, and I'm going to have to roll this all the way around to get back to that. And the sad thing is my hands are being buttholes today. And so I'm having issues with everything I attempt to do today. Which is just lovely. Been trying to ignore the internet today, but I'm telling you what, I'm working the hole punch right now, but me and the grommets are not on speaking terms. I've been trying to hide from the internet today, but you can see just by what comes up on YouTube when I'm looking for other stuff, you can see just how horrible people still have their panties in a wad over Ryan, and I just think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. And I'm probably the only one that does. I think it's hilarious. No, my hands have just not, everything I've done today I've had to be super focused on, because they just don't want to, they want to be just a hair off or a half-second delay, and it's just enough to cause me issues. So, baby update. If she doesn't have the baby by her appointment next week, they're just going to induce her. Because bless her heart, she's miserable. But she's so cute. I got her some maternity pants to help her hold in her belly after birth and provide a little bit of comfort, a little bit of pushback. All women know what you kind of need that. So I got her some maternity pants to help with that. She's so tiny, it's hard to find stuff small enough for her. I've never had that problem in my entire life. Has anybody else? Hi Heather. Hi CDC. Never had that problem in my entire life. But I've had that problem when looking for her stuff. So been like a different world I have visited. It's been kind of weird. So now I do know how little tiny people feel when they shop now. It's difficult. Haley was kind of easier, but I think it's because it was the age she was at that she was always so thin. So I didn't really have to buy adult clothes for her much because she was, by the time she was wearing adult clothes, she was already in college. So, Oscar, do not come in here and beg for nothing. You ain't getting a thing. Don't even. Go on back out. So I have had my first like skinny girl clothing experience that I never thought I'd have, but I understand. I understand the frustration now, and I get it. It's frustrating, and I never understood with my daughter because she was just not the right age, I don't guess, for me to experience it that way. Seriously. Grommets. I hate grommets. Grommets are buttholes. So this is probably like the hardest thing I've ever attempted to do with my hands since I've had this disorder. And I'm here to tell you. This will make you say wordy words. It's not pleasant. And it's not like it's difficult. Look, see, that was way too easy to get that little grommet in there. It's not like it's difficult. But holy crap, is it difficult for me? It's like, man. Hi, Denise. I'm actually working on Denise something right now, too. But I'm just trying to put these grommets in here because I want them to look a little bit more finished. He's got a couple sales he's going to. They're far enough away I probably won't go. But I want the stuff that he takes to look good. So I'm trying to put some cute finishing touches on stuff, even though he tells me not to worry about it. It's just who I am. It's what I do. And plus, my legs and stuff have been kind of wobbly today, so I've not wanted to be up a lot. So this has been a nice sit-down craft thing that I could do without having to worry if I'm going to get up and topple. I really need to vacuum and do the dishes, but as that would invite toppling, we decided not to. So today's one of those days where I just have to be careful. And I don't know why, because the weather's been beautiful here today. Look, see, that was way too easy. It looks like it just to be the easiest thing to make one of those. And by golly, it is not. So that is a little raccoon one. I put a little gold grommet in there so that it will wear a little bit better for whoever buys it. It has a little bit better movement to it. So the weather's been beautiful, but my legs and stuff have just been like, no. So I've been warbly the last couple days and not done as much around the house as I probably needed to. So I've just kind of taken it slow and not overdone it. And my house, you can tell my house that I need to have a serious cleaning day. My floors, well, I mean, it's not dirty. It's just I hate when my floors get dirty. So I like to vacuum and sweep and mop, and I'm not in a place where my body will allow me to do any of those things. So my floors are pitiful. A crocodile. We've been looking at upgrading some stuff because legit, most of the tools we use are from my old days where I was punching leather in horse tack just when needed. So we really need to upgrade some stuff, and we are slowly starting to. But slowly would be the key word there. If he gets an extremely amazing work week, we might splurge and try to buy something. But it goes pretty slow, especially with a grandbaby on the way and stuff. But we make do. But yeah, my hands. Now David can make this look easy, which is normally why he does it. It looks difficult and is difficult for me. So he normally does this, but I am impatient and wanted to see what this would look like. So here I am doing something I probably shouldn't be doing with my hands. Oh no, it's probably actually really good for him. I just get frustrated way too easily sometimes. From Memory Makers. Okay, I've never heard of that. I'm going to check it out. That may be something I need to invest in. Because I'm here to tell you, we ain't going to have many more evenings like this. This has been a little bit irritating. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I think once I get the hang of it and my hands learn a new routine, I'll be okay. But boy, I tell you what, these first few are pains in the butt. And it's all about muscle memory. And if you have a neuromuscular disorder, you have no muscle memory. It's very irritating because then you're like, I know how to do this. Why won't you do this? And it's just your hands are just like, lady, we're slow. So I get really frustrated sometimes because I was always so able-bodied before all this crap. And so it really irritates the crap out of me. I get really frustrated really easily because I was such a glorified Amazon for so much of my life. Now I'm like, can you help me? And it irritates the fart out of me. Now that one went easier. That was better. That's actually really cute on that beaver. Alright, that's really cute. I think that's really cute. I really think he could make little tiny ones of these and make earrings. I would totally wear them. And if anybody looked at me funny, I would just scowl. I could totally pull it off, don't you think? Hobby Lobby is about an hour and a half away. So I don't get to Hobby Lobby very often. But when I go to Hobby Lobby, I can't order online. I have to be there and look through stuff to make sure it's the right size. Because I get diameters and stuff with beads all screwed up in my head. I have to physically be there. Now, Lane and Kaylee went after her doctor's appointment the other day and brought me back some goodies. And I've got some stuff to work with. So that's pretty good. But I have to physically go to Hobby Lobby to buy anything or I will screw up and purchase the wrong thing. And I think it's what Hobby Lobby does to women to get you in the door to make you buy more stuff. I think it's a trick. It's a trap. I think it's a trap. Well, see, I have another key ring up here somewhere. Maybe don't. That's what I did. Well, darn it. So, and I've got a bracelet taped to the table, which I am going to finish in just a minute. But I thought I'd check in and say howdy and see if anybody else had seen anything on the internet today that made them just, want to smack somebody. I noticed that YouTube is changing a lot of their rules per what you can say about COVID and masks. So everybody be careful. Plot switch. So we're going to have to go through all that crap again. Worrying about what we're saying is something that can be said or not. I never thought living in America I'd have to worry about what come out of my mouth. I mean, honestly, to a certain extent, you don't. But they've once again changed the rules. And apparently I struggle with the rules because I think that anything that is my opinion I can say, and apparently YouTube does not believe that. So, hi music. So it's starting to change again. Hi Cindy. Oh, you're the one telling me about. Yeah, I'm gonna try that, Cindy. I'm gonna look it up. I had to order. We've been so with the baby coming and trying to keep the vehicle close to the house for her to go into labor and not make her drive in lanes, big old bumpy logwood truck almost. I mean, it's a nice truck, but it's got rough tires from where it has to go in and out of the woods because of his job. My son is an arborist. I had one lady that couldn't read ask me why I was proud of my abortionist son, and I thought, okay. You ever just find people in the world and just kind of you have to go, oh, okay, and walk away? Yeah, I do that a lot. Um, but we don't want her riding too far in that big old bouncy truck. I mean, it's a nice truck, but it's made to go in and check, timber and stuff like that. So it's not the most comfortable ride, especially if you're almost 10 months pregnant. And so we've been trying to keep my Jeep close to home so that she could take off in it and we can just keep his truck and use it if we need it. And so we've just been trying to keep it close to home for her in case she pops. And if she doesn't pop by next week, they're going to just go ahead and induce her. And I will be happy if that occurs because she's so miserable. She's so cute, but she's so miserable. She's so miserable. And I have been editing maternity photos for a week and a half now. And it's going to take me a while to get them all done because the software on my computer is so picky and it's like drags my computer to run it. So it takes forever to edit each photo. But I'm slowly getting them done. When I get them done, I'll do a slideshow and y'all can see. I love every one of them so far. They're just turning out so pretty. But we have to stay close to home. And the leather shop is like about an hour away. It's the Amish people, and it's not really super far geographically. It's just super far because you have to take so many back roads to get there. And so rather than try to make that horrendous trip right now with the way I felt and then the way she's felt, we just decided we would order some remnants online, take a chance, and see what happened, and get it in, get some stuff done, and only buy what we absolutely needed to get done, and then try to make it over there before the next showing. So I'm super excited about my grandbaby. I'm super excited. Slap someone naked. Well, at least YouTube has not done that today. I have just kind of not been on the web today. I've just kind of left it alone and worried about me and done some paperwork and stuff I needed to do, and that's about it. David had some sales in his Etsy shop, and he got all that stuff packaged and mailed, and so I said, hand me the paperwork and I'll notify everybody of their shipping. And so I did that for him today, and I haven't really done a whole lot. Watch that go the wrong way, you little booger, you. But with the last few days on the internet, I have just been like, ugh, people. I just have not liked people. And it's like, boy, what has been your deal the last few days on the internet? I mean, everybody's been so grumpy. Music, if I see someone recording me without asking, I'll act like a complete I always try to, if I ever record anywhere, I always try to let them know and ask permission. And I won't even ask at the leather shop because it's Amish, so I won't even disrespect them. They'll let me film what's in the bins and take pictures of what's in the bins, but I don't dare get anywhere near anyone. Just out of respect, I don't. And so, but they're real chill. They like Dave, so they're used to us now. I think my tattoos used to scare the kids when I first started going there, but we've been there so much now they're used to us. But the internet has been so grumpy the last few days. It's like, people, get along with each other. My goodness. And so I just kind of left it alone today. I just was like, it's not where I need to be. So I'm just going to not even worry about the world it's in. I watered, I pointed to the flowers and David packed the water. Which translates to I watered my morning glories and my flowers that were starting to die. And I waited till the very last minute before he left for work because I really thought, if I water these stupid things, it'll rain. So I waited till the very last minute, and I just finally was like, crap, I'm going to have to water them. And I watered them, and it has not rained, so I'm glad I did water them. But I've had to water a bunch of stuff where the humidity's been low here, and that's what has bothered my sinuses, by the way. My pool has evaporated. My morning glories are trying to die. And, I mean, everything in my yard has just kind of wilted. And so I had to go around and water everything, and my black-eyed Susan vines and my morning glories. And my sunflowers are doing great. They're still thriving. Missed completely. Couldn't do that again if I tried. But I had just a lot of stuff that I kind of meandered and sat and pointed, and David ran and got and did, and just stuff that I hadn't been outside in a few days and needed to be taken care of. And so basically I look and say this needs to be done, that needs to be done, because he's not one to really notice flowers and plants and stuff. And so he chased around and did stuff. And I stood at the edge of the pool with a little pool sign and acted like I was doing something useful for about 30 minutes. I was not doing anything useful. Just go ahead and tell myself. But at least I got out of the house. And I've been having migraines, so I had not been getting out of the house. But now, since I got out of the house and saw what my pool and my plants were doing, I know what's been going on. It's been so dry outside. My sinuses are killing me, and ragweed is starting to bloom. So my barn lot is just yellow. It's just lovely. Yeah, I unsubscribe from almost anyone that causes drama. And sadly, I've come into a couple of channels that I really like, but I've come into them at times where they're having drama, and I'm like, should I stay? Should I go? Should I be here? And I don't know what I'm going to do, because I like the channels and I like what they do, but then I'm like, I didn't really want to walk in on this. So I don't know what I'm going to do, because there's a couple of channels I really like that I've just recently found, and it's been like, you're in the middle of drama. I don't know what I should do, because it's not really what I like. And I normally, if somebody tries to pick a drama fight with me, I normally just go humor and laugh it off, because it didn't really bother me that much. But I did find this little boy that is so brave. Bless his little heart. He's so brave in this day and age. He actually has a Christian YouTube channel. You want to talk about just asking for people to, just belittle you and put you down. That right there that'll do it. But he started a Christian YouTube channel, and it's basically like a worship service, and it's Tyler something. I have to find him now. I thought some of y'all might enjoy him. Priscilla, I thought you might enjoy him. And he's been getting so much flack, and just for sharing his faith online. And it's like, I don't get it, because people go on and follow all these people of all these religions and be like, I respect your religion. Your religion is so beautiful. I don't understand it, but I respect it. And then they'll walk upon a Christian website or a Christian page, and they'll be like, you're a piece of trash. And I'm like, how about, hey, your religion, I don't understand it, but I respect it. It's beautiful. I'm glad you found something that speaks to your heart. And it's so strange to see it so loudly now, how people treat people that have Christian websites or Christian channels. And it's just like, come on now, people, we're supposed to embrace everybody. Inclusivity meant everybody, but not everybody gets treated with inclusivity. But he had such a beautiful channel and such a beautiful little heart. Tyler Feller, yes. I was really impressed with his behavior, how he handled people, how he handled himself. And I just stumbled upon him last night, not before, and was just very much impressed by how he delivered his beliefs and handled the hate. And I'm talking about hate, y'all. Oh my gosh, it was atrocious, some of the things that people came there to say to him. And I thought, why are we so quick to judge somebody? And a lot of it is they have created these emotional responses to these words. And so people hear the words and they don't actually know what the word means, or they don't know anything about the history of what the word is talking about. But they just have this emotion from where people have placed an emotion to this word, like we spoke about earlier this week. And they go crazy trying to just absolutely drag people. And I'm like, hold up. some of the most vicious religions in the world have been shown a lot of grace. Why are we not showing grace to everyone? You know, and my view on that is, I may not agree with your mode of thought and what religion that you follow, but I'm going to know that it took me a whole lot of years to develop my mode of thinking around my beliefs, and I wouldn't want anyone to disrespect how much time I put into creating my beliefs. So I'm not going to disrespect how much time you put into creating your beliefs. And that's just kind of where I'm at there. And I watch these people treat this. What have I done? Apparently I clipped skin through the grommet. How did I do that? But these people were just so vicious to this little boy. And he was such a sweet young man. I mean, he really was a very sweet young man. People are way too emotional. And they think that their emotion is what that means. Their emotion is their understanding of that. Your emotions are never an understanding of something. Logic is an understanding of something. And emotion is how you respond to something. And I'm just get so flabbergasted that people are still on this little trend of thinking a feeling is a fact. And I'm like, oh, people, can we not? Like, can we start over and try this again? Because we're going absolutely the wrong way. But, I felt really bad for the boy, but I was very impressed with how he handled himself and how he spoke to the people that were really treating him like crap. I was really impressed with him. I was really, really, really impressed with him. Let's just leather back this one. This one's ticking me off, so we'll just leather back him. So, hi, Fang. It says that needed little Jesus got snapped at. And, and that's his prerogative to have. I mean, people just don't understand, I don't know. That inclusivity means everything except for certain people of a certain color and except for certain people of a certain religion. Inclusivity is a lie. It doesn't exist. You just, and that's one thing that culture and religion and societies, they constantly cycle through these mean girl groups. I mean, really, honestly, it's mean girl groups. If you read through history, you're going to read a lot about mean girl groups because history's had so many of them. And it's just, I don't know. I felt so sorry for him, but I was so proud of him at the same time because he handled himself so well. But there's no reason why anyone's belief pattern should be disrespected. There's not. I mean, it's just not. If you don't believe it, that's fine. Walk away from it. That doesn't mean that you get to tell someone else, that their belief is invalid. But, society really has turned into the mean girl clique at high school here lately. And, they want to say that they've not, but we can tell they have. And it's really strange to watch grown-ups have no compassion, no emotional restraint, and honest to gosh, have absolutely no idea how to interact. It's just strange to watch people struggle so much just to be around each other. And it's like, why are you struggling to be around somebody? So they have these self-filtered ideas about people's worth because of where they're from or what color they are or what religion they ascribe to it. And it's just like, talk to somebody for 15 minutes. You will get your head absolutely popped open. You know, you will be educated. You know, because I have people all the time be like, "You're just a stupid hillbilly. You know, you're probably full of hate too. You're probably," and I'm like, "No," and they're like, they say I don't have they don't see a lot of people of different races or cultures on my page talking to me, and I'm like, I can't help who clicks on my YouTube channel. Like I can't help that. That just goes out there. The algorithm does what it does, and I can't help that. But I can tell you that yesterday, one of my very best girlfriends, who is black, messaged me and begged me to come watch her girls this morning. And I said, "Sweetie, I can't. I've got to keep my Jeep close to home because we're fixing to have the baby." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot." And I said, "If I could, I would." She's like, "I know, sweetie. I know you would." And I was like, you know, until you're part of my world and part of my life, you don't know who I hang around with, who I spend my time with, and who trusts me with their children. So I was just like, and it was rude, you know, to say that you know, you bet I have, you know, a very homogenous friend group. And I was like, I don't really. I know people all over the world. And it kind of irritated me. And I thought, that's just rude. How, you know, why would someone even think that is something that they should say? But that is the world we live in now. That is how people degrade you. They think they know your worth, and they think they can play those little games. It's like somebody said, you haven't worked what you've worked. You're lying to people." I said, no, I've worked every job I've told you about. I've worked it. Well, I found you on Facebook and you only listed this. And I was like, I didn't know Facebook was the arbiter of truth with employment. I said, to be quite honest, I said, I don't care for Facebook. And I said, I don't really update it a whole lot. I said, but I also don't think that I need to tell my life story on Facebook. I said, if that's the only place you go for information, I said, I would like to think that you know there are better avenues to get information about people. But they thought that since I didn't list certain things on Facebook, I had not done them. I didn't know Facebook was the accountability app. You know, and it was just like, dude, you know, Facebook is not my life story. I was around long before Facebook. Facebook is not something that I care for too much. But, you know, that's just the mindset of people. You know, if it isn't on Facebook or Instagram, it didn't happen. And I just think that's so sad because life happens when you're not paying attention. You're not trying to create an Instagram story. You're not trying to create a Facebook post. Life happens in those little moments where you're not doing those things. But everybody's doing those things. So I wonder now if life is really occurring for a lot of people. Or if they just go around in this little social media haze and have nothing really to talk about. That kind of worries me, to be quite honest. I'm like, you know that there's more to life than this. Um, my family's Heinz 57 too. You know, we're a little bit everything. The two major is Scots Irish and Cherokee, and then if you go back far enough, you're going to find some really old school German. You're going to find some. You're going to find some Greek in there, just a tad, which I guess is how I tie in with the Melungeons, but just a tad. And you're just kind of going to see a conglomerate of world history, and I think that everybody is kind of like that to a certain extent, and it's sad that everybody can't just feel pride from where they're from. You have to. A lot of people want to make you feel bad about what's in your lineage and you know what you are made up of, and I don't know why anyone would need to feel bad over something they have absolute no control over. Boggles my mind the way that people think that they need to control and browbeat people for things that they have absolute no control over. And I've always been just boggled by people that feel the need to bring up what your great 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 grandparents did. And I'm like, yeah, buddy, because I had a whole lot of control over them. But also they forget that life lived in that day was lived under a different law, under a different lifestyle, under it was just a different world. And while some of it may not be anything that we're super proud of, it's not anything that we're super responsible for either. And so I always get mesmerized by people that want to play the shame game and dog somebody for something they have no control over. And I just get really annoyed with people who play that ignorance because it's just not necessary. I put a little gray wrap on him. I thought he was cuter with a little wrap. The others I just did plain because David wanted plain ones for the men. So I left them plain. Which I understand. Men probably don't want pretty braids and stuff. I get it. So, and I've got some other stuff ordered, some other snaps and stuff. So I'm going to wait and do more key fobs until my order comes in because I'll have more snaps and rings that will make, they'll just be prettier for the women's stuff. They'll just be prettier. So I'm going to wait and make the key fobs until the other stuff comes in so I have a little bit more control over what they look like. So. That creates a very interesting family. Common sense, honey, common sense was laid by the side of the road to die a solitary and painful death. That's what happened to common sense. Ugh. I don't see common sense anywhere. Like, I watched today, people fought for 5 hours on Facebook over somebody dropping their dog off on the road. But on a thread where somebody's children had been taken by DCS, they were standing up for the behavior of the family, which they shouldn't have even been talking about it online, but they were standing up for the behavior of the family and the treatment of the kids, which was deplorable. And we should give them another chance. Those poor kids, they don't know how to survive. It's just whatever you're brought up in. Kids are used to it. You shouldn't have taken them away. Now they're gonna be so confused. And I was like, yeah, that is pretty substantial abuse. I was like, wow, people. And then you go to the dog thread. It was like, how dare someone be mean to a dog? You should have your life taken away. You. And I was just like, whoa, but we're totally okay with abuse to kids. And so it's just like, they'll take out after somebody over a dog. But yet when it comes to children being mistreated, you should have given the parents another chance. That toddler would have been fine. And I was just like, whoa, we have gotten our priorities so backwards. And it's just terrifying to see it play out like that online for everybody to see it. And I was just like, man, that is scary how people will, protect an animal, basically leave a kid out to dry. Just hang a kid out to dry. It just. My chance. I don't know what else to call you because I feel like a thug when I say, well, it just doesn't come out of my mouth correctly. I love genealogy. Like, it was very interesting, but my mom's side kind of crapped out on me when the Cherokee kicked in. So I do have a Cherokee man that is very good with the tribes, and we're from a very small tribe that came out of the Delaware tribe. So it's a very it's well known, but it's not well recorded. And he said he would help me trace my genealogy, and so he's been working on that because y'all know I hit a just speed bump with moms. So he's been working on that, and I'm looking forward to getting to see him maybe here in a week or two and talk through it again. I've got to write another story for the paper. The lady at the paper asked me to write. They had the fair. It's the fair this week up at the fairgrounds, which I don't ever really go. I used to when my legs were good, but I can't walk and do all that. She lets me, if I want to go, she would totally let me park my car inside the gates and everything. But it's too much on my body. I can't do it. But they're having the mule games, and since that was like my thing for all those years, I was able. She was like, "Would you write the story on the mule games?" And I was like, "Yeah, just get me the paperwork and tell me, that shows who won what." And so I've got another story to write for the paper, and I do it voluntarily. I just enjoy. If I write so many stories for her, then I can sneak in a story that I just wanted to write, and she will run it for me. So I still get to kind of voice my own concerns and tell stories I think the community needs to hear. And that's kind of how I do that. But I've got to write a story over the mule games this weekend. And we're on Extreme Baby Watch. So I've got a story about a local blacksmith. Is a young man that decided to learn how to do blacksmithing, and now has built his own forge and is actually taking on work and sustaining himself with the old timey business. And he's doing great at it. And I wanted to help celebrate what he's doing because we don't have a lot of people that really, hang on to the old way. So she's basically told me that if I wanted to write a column every other week or so for the paper about people like heritage heroes, and people that keep old ways alive, that she would give me a corner spot, and I could have a little column. So I think I could probably do two a month every other week. I think I'd probably do that. So that may be something that I do. Did they? I am split two ways on spanking. You have to have such a bond with your children's teacher and understand each other and your mindsets and how you're emotionally going to do that, or it's very difficult. But then there are also times like my son got in trouble at school and he needed a spanking. And his third grade teacher, Miss Missy, my son had the biggest cow eyes. Y'all have seen him, little red hair, cow eyes, and he was just playing her like a fiddle. And she come up to me. I was doing I worked for AmeriCorps for a while. I did tutoring, and I taught kids in first, second, and third grade how to read, and their parents that couldn't read. I taught them how to read too. And she came up to me and she goes, "Elizabeth, he needs whipping." And I said, "I understand." I said, "You go ahead and do what you need to do." He needed a whipping. And she came back about 5 minutes later. She goes, "He looked up at me and batted them big cow eyes." And she said, "Elizabeth, I can't do it." And I said, "You know what that means, Miss Missy?" I said, "You swing even harder." Because he was completely playing her. He knew how much that she adored him. And he was playing her. And here he seen me walking down the hallway, and he was like, "Oh, crap, they went and got my mom to give me my whipping." And I said, "No, Miss Missy's going to spank you." I said, "You disrespected her classroom and her authority." I said, "You're getting a spanking." I said, "And you bat them big old cow eyes one more time trying to get out of trouble." And I said, "I'm going to add a lick or two on there, too." And he was like, "Yes, ma'am." So, but he knew exactly what he was doing, little turd. He was playing her like a fiddle. But there are some kids with certain trauma backgrounds and some stuff that teachers need to have conversations with the guardians or the parents, know that, and come up with additional ways to punish them because it will not put them in a good place. And schools used to have these conversations and they don't anymore. And I'm just like, can we please talk about this? Can we please, discuss that we have some kids that are going to try authority and are going to need a harsher consequence, and then we have some kids that are not able to have harsh consequences. Can we talk about this? And it's just one of those topics that never gets the attention it needs, or it gets one of those, the parents get aggressively and emotionally attached to one side or the other and can't see the other side. And I can see all aspects because I work with all types of kids, and I understand that some kids, just cannot be put in that position. But now my son that day needed his hind end busted. Because he was playing her. He knew how much she adored his little red hair and freckles and big cow eyes. And he just looked up at her and milked it for all it was worth. And I got him home. And I said, what were you doing? He said, I thought I could get myself out of trouble. I said, oh, how did that work for you? Not really well. Little turd. But he tried. I give him credit. He tried. If y'all have not met Lane, there are videos below of him. He climbs trees and cuts trees down. He's an arborist. He's an old soul, but he was a little stinker. And he knew how much that woman adored him, and he played it. And he's always been a little cutie pie, and so his teachers had a hard time punishing him. And if he needed to be punished, I was okay with him being punished because, you know something, he tried that crap at home too. He needed to be punished sometimes. But I always got tickled at how, just absolutely how emotional some of the teachers would get when he would really play them. And I'd be like, don't you let him do that. Don't you let him do that to you. Like, don't you let him do that to you. And so I would end up like pumping the teacher up to give my child a whipping because he needed one. He absolutely needed one. But, there were other kids that you can't punish them like that because of the circumstances they've been in, things that have been done to them, you can't. And I was a lot of times the only person that championed those conversations in the school with the principal, with the guidance counselor. I was the only one that would broach those topics, and it boggled my mind because we had a pretty decent population of foster parents in school. I didn't know why they would not talk about this. And, they should have been the ones wanting to discuss the really big conversations about punishment because they had kids that were absolutely in a very specific group emotionally. But they never would have the conversations, the big conversations that they needed to have. Boggle my mind how adults can walk right away from a very important conversation and it's about a child, but then go and stand up and fearlessly fight over someone that they think may have dropped a dog off on the road because they saw it walking. Well, it turned out to be somebody's blue heeler that got out of the gate and chased a cow, and they were trying to find it. But then they had already posted for 2 hours how sorry the owner must be with pictures of the dog, and it caused the whole community uproar. But you see horrible issues with child abuse and neglect, and nobody wants to talk about it. Boggles my mind. Oh, I pick up roadkill too. Oh my gosh. I was with my mother, and here's the thing. Let me set the stage. My mother just had bought a brand new silver Nissan Altima. She loved it. Most of us drove rickety 4x4s around here, but my mother had just bought a Nissan Altima. This is when I was 25, 24, 25. Me and David just had got married, so yeah, about 25. And the kids were at school, and she was going with me to a doctor's appointment. And it was back when my legs actually worked. It was before I had my hysterectomy. I was going for a hysterectomy issue. And so I had on capris and little slides that flap your feet if you run in them, And a little girly top. I looked cute that day. And I was driving her Altima because she hates to drive in big cities, so she's letting me drive. We got about inside the county coming back home, and there was the prettiest gray fox on the side of the road. And I said, oh, Mom. She goes, don't you turn around, don't you turn. I turned around. I said, Mom, it's not messed up at all. It's not even bleeding. I said, they probably just broke its neck. They hit it so hard. I said, you can't leave that lay on the road. It's too pretty. I said, it don't deserve a death like that. I said, let me pick it up. And finally I talked her into it, and she goes, I don't want it in my car. She's like, I don't want it on my car. I said, we're 10 minutes from the house. I was like, and what you don't know, and I opened my pocketbook, and I said, I have garbage bags, because I had roadkill patrol. She goes, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And so I pull off the side of the road, and it's the new 4-lane that they just put in. And here I go, cross to the other side in my little slip-on mules and my little capri pants. And I bag up that fox, and I'm running back across the road holding a bag. Putting it in a Nissan Altima truck. And my mom's sitting in the cab like this. And I get in, and she's like, I don't know where I went wrong. I don't know where I went wrong. I mounted that thing. It cost me about $60 to mount it. I did an open mouth. It was sitting down playing, but it had a little open mouth like it was panting. It was a really cute little mount. And kept it for about 8 months. It kept falling over, and I didn't want to put it on a rock because it would take up too much floor space. And so I said, well, I'm just going to sell it. I put that sucker on a local sale. $375 later, wasn't I happy I had clopped across the 4-lane and picked up roadkill? Yes, sir, I was. So I basically made $300 off that. So while my mother was like, you know, where did I go wrong? Hey, Mom, that's free money laying on the road. I'm going to go pick it up. So I am not opposed to picking up roadkill. Matter of fact, David got mad yesterday because he didn't go out till late. He normally gets out in the morning and putters around, and then he'll get out later before he goes to work. And he had somehow decided he wasn't going to get out and missed 2 big coons had been hit on the road together. They must have been after the same thing. They were big and beautiful, and their tails were so jet black. And the gray was almost blue. I mean, it was beautiful. And the sad thing is they'd been there so long that the sun had already started to bloat them and started to break down. And David was like, nope. And so he was upset. As soon as he got to work, he's like, I missed 2 big coons this morning. I should have got out. And then he got to work, and little ladies that drive from work that way, they're like, hey, did you see that? He goes, don't even. And he was upset that he missed him. He would really rather not anything go to waste. He is, you know, he's one of those that if he can get it skinned and cleaned up and it's pretty fresh, he'll not let it go to waste. He thinks it's horrible when an animal goes to waste, and I do too. But he was really upset about that one. He even come home still mad about it. He messaged me, and then he come home still mad about it. I just got tickled at him. But it is free money. I mean, for us, it's free money on the road, and I would rather one not go to waste, so I don't mind grabbing them. But I freaked my mother out that day. I mean, my dad would not have cared. My dad would have got out and helped me got it, but Mom was like, no. My granny was from down Stockton way and really rural in this area. She had to walk the train track, which is now shut down, but it's still there, to get to town and back to go buy groceries. And so she was backwoods. And so when we got in trouble at Granny's, we had to even go cut our own switch. That was the real punishment, was cutting our own switch. Because it told Granny whether you were actually going to take your licking or you're still going to try to get out of it. My Granny she was a straight shooter now. And, well, you know, there's been times that I got a whipping and I deserved it and I needed it. That was going to be the only thing that was going to reach me. But, you know, punishment like that has to be administered in a certain way and come from a certain spot in the heart. And a lot of people don't understand that. And you just have to, it's just one of those things you have to be super careful with. And it has to be done with a lot of communication and love too. And a lot of people say, well, that doesn't make sense, corporal punishment and love, but they both play a role there. So, but Elaine will look at you and he's like, yeah, I needed a whipping that day, because he was just trying to get out of trouble with his big old cow eyes. He really was. He will try to. He knew how cute he was, and he played it. I mean, he milked it for all it was worth, and that poor teacher didn't stand a chance. She loved him to death. I have a lot of friends in the New York, New Jersey area, and they're a large Italian family, and I love their grandma. We call her Noni. I love Noni. She's like my Noni too. I send them, they get a kick out of my accent, so I send them like holiday messages, and then they'll all try to talk like me and send me back a holiday message. And I get so tickled at Noni because she really tries. Like, she wants to talk like me. She thinks it's sweet. And she tries so hard, but that Italian accent comes out. She just can't, she can't overtake it. I get tickled with her. The funniest person that's ever tried to talk like me was Peter Freestone, and he really tried. Like, all weekend he tried, and he just never could get it down pat. But he tried really hard, and I still make fun of him for that. He's a sweet guy. He's the sweetest man I've ever met. I mean, I'm not lying. If there's one person that I've ever met that I understand exactly why God made them, it's Peter Freestone, because he worked with Freddie for the last 12 years of Freddie's life. And the moment I met him, I knew why Freddie had hired him, because the man is such a calming sensation. I mean, it's just like your body slows down and everything just goes to calm. And I was like, I get why Freddie hired you. You're just, I call him walking Xanax. It's what he is. And he's just the sweetest man. That has got to be the biggest heart that I have ever witnessed in a human body. Peter Freestone. I call him Phoebe because that's what Freddie called him, and that's why I have a Phoebe bird on my wrist. My bird. Let me get that off there. Come over here. My bird right there is my Phoebe bird, and he signs books and sends to me, and calls me if I'm in the hospital, and flirts with my nurses. They get a kick out of it. He's a sweetheart. He's a sweet, sweet man. So, and everybody's like, you know him? Yes, but he is just a human being, y'all. We're all just human beings. But he literally is the sweetest guy I've ever met. Like, I understand the draw for Freddie, what must have been there, because he was just so calming. Ain't nothing wrong with roadkill, though. That's my story on roadkill. I freaked my mother out and made, like, she was embarrassed. And I was like, Mom! I was like, I don't know why you're so embarrassed. People already know this about me. And she was like, oh my gosh. Yes, it is extremely, unless you get in with one of their historians. And I got super lucky. And when the Cherokee split from up north and come down, and then they split from Tennessee, it creates so many headaches to follow who went where, because literally we go to the four corners of the earth, and it's so hard to try to follow everything. And I got lucky, and I know that mine stayed here in southeastern Kentucky, so I got kind of lucky there with my tribe. But a lot of it is still just kind of, it's going to take him and with the tribal records to figure it out, because I got lost. But he ain't, yeah. People ain't looking. They miss a whole lot. No, most kids don't have any punishment, and that's the. I'm here to tell you the one thing that kids crave more than anything, more than even love and affection, is boundaries, structure, stability. And people want to say, "Oh, you're lying." No, 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 no. After working with children in state's custody that have had none of these things, let me tell you that children, that's the one thing that they want more than love and affection is to know that they're secure and safe and who they can depend on. That's all they need. Fang, did you not like my roadkill story? We still have such a small county up here that if they hit a deer or something, they'll radio it in, and then the sheriff will. They have a list of families that are in need, and they'll call the families, and either they'll butcher it themselves or they'll take it to a butcher that will do it for a very small fee for the family. So, like when my son would tag out, we would fill our freezer, but he would still have deer tags, and so he would tag out and finish his deer tags, and he would drop the deer off at the processors, and he had a list of senior citizens that wanted venison and that would pay for one to be butchered. So as they come in, he would go down the list and call them. And it was so funny because after Lane had hunted for several years, he would get on that list. It would say 2 deer or up to 3 deer, and then it would have in parentheses that Waters boy would be great, because they knew that Lane only ever shot him once, so they didn't have any hidden surprises when they were making dinner. And I used to get so tickled that my son was literally like 15 and feeding half the south end of the county. It was just cracked me up. And people would ask for his deer by name. I just got so tickled at that. I thought that was the funniest thing. I was proud of him too, but I just thought it was funny. But so there for several years when we were hunting hot and heavy, and David traps more than anything now. He's got to where like he'd rather, unless we're hungry, he would rather trap. But we fed so many families because when I was still hunting and stuff, we would tag out because we had a farm down in Smith County we could hunt, and we get a Type 94, and I mean we would all tag out and we would just share the love and drop the extra off and tell them to go down the list and feed people. And it was nice to know that my kids got to be part of that, because a lot of kids don't ever get to feel like they've done something like that. And so it was nice for my kids to know that even at a young age, they could do such an important task. So my kids I've never really treated them like children. I mean, they were kids and they had, they had kid pastimes and, sports and dance. But when it came to treating my children like babies, I never did. They understood we lived in a hard world and people needed help sometimes, and they were obligated when they could and had a skill that could help somebody to help somebody. And both of my kids would always jump at the option, to help somebody. So I have good kids. I'm tickled with the way they turned out. I'm hoping my grandchild's going to be much the same because Lane and his wife are very much two little old souls. They are they're just very much into living a very simple life. And I think that my grandchild is probably going to be similar in that regard. And not be raised very much, very different. So I'd say there'll be a lot of fishing, a lot of blackberry picking, a lot of learning how to track animals, trap animals, and she's going to be probably the meanest little girl in the whole county. But it's okay. That's the way we grow them up here. And I think it's fitting that they're probably going to name her Ellie because she very much probably will be an Ellie Mae in every sense of the word. That's just going to be something that's going to be kind of bred into her. Bless her heart. She ain't going to be able to get away from that one. But I'm excited to meet her. I'm excited for her to get here. In the ultrasounds, she has a full head of hair. Now, we'll see if it sticks when she comes out. But I'm anxious to know what color it is because while Mama is almost got raven black hair, the family does have a good deuce mixture of a little bit of everything. So I'm anxious to see what color her hair comes out. So we should all take a poll, see who thinks what. But I'm really getting excited to meet her and love on her. And when my body will allow, babysit and just let her know she's special. I'm really excited to be a grandma. I didn't think I would be this excited to be a grandma, especially as young as I was when I had my kids, which thank God I had them young because if I had not, and then this neuromuscular had come along, I wouldn't have had children at all. So I'm very lucky I had my children young, had them early. So I can't fuss about that. But I'm extremely excited about being a grandma, and I could not have understood the draw to it until it happened. Like everybody says, your grandkids, that's the best. But I couldn't have explained and understood it until it happened to me. And now I'm like, I get it. I completely get it. It's the most special thing. It is. It's special to bring your own into the world, but then to see your lineage occur and to watch your children go through this very special time, it's way better than when you experienced it, because you get to experience it through the little kids that you raised. And it's just so much more special. I mean, it has kind of boggled my mind at how impactful it is for me to have witnessed this, and how much it's kind of boosted my energy and health, just to know that I've got a grandbaby on the way, because it really has given me kind of a second wind. My cats are scratching on the door, and I fed them 3 times today. Anybody want a cat? I'll give them to you. But I'm getting super excited to meet her. Super excited to meet her. I just can't wait. Yeah, I mean, for a long time, we eat just our venison and stuff we put up from the garden, and we didn't eat a whole lot of store-bought stuff. And everybody, raised cows and put their cattle up, and so we didn't eat a whole lot of store-bought stuff. And so when a lot of kids would come to school and start talking about this snack that was at the grocery store, I'd be like, I got no idea what you're talking about. I was like, I don't know the snacks at the grocery store, because I was never at the grocery store. Rattlesnake tastes like chicken. I had a teacher that got approval to kill one that was stalking we had a school farm, and it was like, it had taken up residence at the school farm, and they didn't want anybody to get bit. So TWRA was like, go ahead and kill it. Well, this teacher was not just a teacher. He was an Algonquin Indian who carried a bowie knife, and it was a beef cattle production and wildlife management class. And so we were all the time outside and seining ponds, doing fish counts, and making wildlife or waterfowl management ponds so that property couldn't be touched for 100 years. He was a really good educator. And one day he goes, everyone stay back. And I'm not lying, he talked like that. And he always wore a leather vest. And everybody stopped. He swooped down and come up with this huge rattlesnake. We were all like, oh crap, we were almost bit. And he said it was hiding in the pigweed. That's how he talked. And he took his bowie knife. That's what he kept on him. And he chopped its head off, and then he stabbed its head, put it on the end of the bowie knife. He goes, I will carry this back. You all carry this. And he handed the body of the snake off, which was still moving. And of course, the mouth was still biting, but you can still get bit. So he had to carry the mouth. He put the head in a mason jar, and I'm not lying, it moved for 3 days until the TWRA guy came to get it. And the TWRA guy allowed him to fix the hide for a hat band display. It was like he stretched it like you were going to make a hat band, and he stretched it and prepared it so that they could take it for to display it somewhere. I think at Bandy Creek or something. Anyway, but they allowed him to fry up the meat and feed us. He's like, yeah, you can fry up the meat and let the kids taste it. And so he was in the chemistry lab frying up rattlesnake on a Bunsen burner with its head in a jar, and when it would stop moving, he would shake it, and its head, oh, it was freaky. It's like a snapping turtle. They just keep moving. And but he was the best teacher, and those are things that you just don't come across too often. And that would have been something that I would not have witnessed, most likely, had I not had an Algonquin Indian for a teacher. Denise, I got your evil eye bracelet done. I did a spiral braid in your evil eye. It's drying. It's got some stuff on it to dry the wraps. So, it's done. Turtles keep moving. I'm here to tell you. Okay, here's you're gonna love this, or somebody's gonna hate it. I'm sure I'll get feedback on this. So we used to common brown snappers up here. You can catch and eat. So we go out and fish for them and catch them and eat them. They have to be like 12 or 14 inches, certain size, and we keep the big ones and eat them and throw the little ones back. And farmers all the time wanted them cleaned out of their ponds because they would eat the fish, they would eat the baby ducks, they would eat everything. And so we go out and turtle fish. And turtle meat's great because they have it on their necks, on their legs, on their tail, and everywhere they have meat is like a different type of meat. So they have like 6 or 7 different types of meat all over their body. When you have to chop off their head, or you'll get bit, because even after they're dead, they keep moving and biting. So you have to chop off their head to clean them, and then you have to pour boiling water over the shell to make it let go of the hide, and then you have to get it open and start cleaning them out. And their feet, like I would have to hold their feet on either side while David would deal with the shell, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I can take anything apart, but I hate it when it still moves. Peace out, and I would leave him alone to do that. But the kids loved it when we would clean turtles. Why, do you ask? Well, they would go to the garden shed and they would each get a hoe. They would throw the turtle head in the yard, and the first one would put the hoe in the turtle's mouth, and the turtle would climb. And they would flip it like lacrosse, send it flying, run up on it, stick the hoe in its mouth, it'd clamp on again, and they'd flip it and they would just run all over the yard flipping this turtle head back and forth. And so we were cleaning turtles. I hear a honk honk, and it was a lady that one neighbor I have. A lady had pulled up, and she's like, "What are they playing with?" I was like, "Oh, it's a turtle head." I didn't know that she would have the reaction she had. I was like, "Oh, it's been dead a couple hours. It's just still biting. It'll stop eventually." And she was just like, she could not accept what I just said, and I just saw her brain kind of implode. And Lane and Haley just kept flipping that turtle. I finally had to say, take it to the backyard of the barn lot, because it was kind of freaking them out. But it was literally, I mean, that's what they would do. And so we all would have to be outside when we was cleaning them, because I'd have to keep an eye on them. And so that's what they would play with. And they got the absolute biggest kick out of it. Well, if you look at a lot of the foods, a lot of the places have been putting insect or crushed up insects in it for a long time. I think, if you ask me what's going on, I think they're trying to create a royalty and serfdom again, to where there's only two classes, and it's your complete poverty peasant that lived outside of the walls of the castle and begged for scraps off the royalty's table, and then there's the king and the royal people. And I think that's what they're trying to set up the dynamic for again. And I'm not game for that. But I think that's what they're trying to do. So they're not my favorite people right now. And the sad thing is that a lot of people don't understand, and they think, oh, this is new, and oh, we can, this is a delicacy. If Nicole Kidman eats it, I should eat it. No, stop. You cannot ever get everything you need from bugs. Stop it. And it's a sad thing, because honestly, the vegans have killed more bugs than anybody in the world, because in order to grow all this vegetable, all these plants, they have to scour the earth and then kill every bug. And that's why honeybees and everything have taken such a hit over the last several years. And vegans think they're helping the ecology of the planet. And I'm like, no, you're killing it worse. A hunter may take a couple, 3 animals a year to survive, but they're killing billions and trillions of insects that keep the world turning. The insects do the hard work, y'all. Let's just be honest. Yeah, I mean, those big. I mean, I've fished with crickets and stuff. I don't want to eat any. Sorry. You used to taste your with snapping turtle heads or crickets or both. Turtle's actually really good. The key to turtle is you have to boil it first, and then after you boil it, then you can fry it. But you always have to boil everything first. If you don't, it will be so tough you won't be able to eat it. But if you boil it, and then if you batter it and fry it, it's great. But you always got to boil it first. Yeah, I don't think insects are going to work for me. No. Yeah, if I was starving and was trying to find my way out of somewhere, and that's all that I could find, and turned over stumps and found grubs, and I'd do what I had to do to survive. But not if I'm sitting down to dinner. I don't want to have a bowl full of grubs and crickets. No, thank you. Dead turtles. Yeah, we soak them in salt water and kind of leach them for a little while too. But I tell you what, if you don't boil them, they're so hard you can't eat them. Universal basic. I know. Oh, it's that they're setting it up. And somebody asked me what I thought the president was doing. This is just my opinion, but I think he's trying to run this mother into the ground where there's nothing to restructure when anybody else gets hold of it, so that they'll have minimal options, so that these things that they have set in place have to occur. And yeah, that's why I told everybody last night the dirty words are, if you look up WBAN and then look it up as to your physical body, and then look up the human biofield, y'all will start to understand what's going on. Yep, it's gonna be bad. I mean, they think they know everything, but if they know everything, why does everything they try turn out so stupid? These people are so arrogant, and I'm getting really tired of living in a society where these stupid people are making all the rules, but they're not making any valid steps forward. I know. I know. I mean, I have nothing right now, but I ain't happy, and I ain't never going to learn to be happy. I mean, if you take away the human's desire to better themselves, why are we human? Why do we have a big brain? What's the point? What's the point? So if you really start to pay attention to what's going on, it's pathetic. Oh, that came out of the trying to feed us bugs and creating the new class strata. Instead of having as many classes as an economy can produce, they want to just have limited classes, basically to where it's back to serfdom and royalty. So, yep, it is. I miss throwing. Boy, I tell you what, I saw hay that was $8 a bale the other day, and I patted myself in the back for not having any large animals. But then I thought, man, I should have leased out some hay fields. I've been making money. But oh, I'm telling you, it got expensive this year. I'm here to tell you, it's going to get bad, y'all. It's going to get bad. I mean, we've not seen what human beings are capable of yet. Well, if you want to call them human beings, we've not seen what that top tier of society is capable of yet, and it's going to be scary, I think. It don't matter if you're off grid or not. They've already got you tagged like cattle. There's really no way to get away from it. I mean, yeah, brush up on your skills to keep yourself safe, but I don't think there's any way to get away from it at this point. That's sad. Oh, I'm tired. That's the first time I've ever yawned on camera, I do believe. But I'm tired. I have to say, though, I'm sitting here with all my little friends. Every time she says something, I say, I know. I know, but it's I know. I'm sitting here with all my little friends, and I have to admit that I had somebody tell me how to set this up to kind of knock some of the bad mojo and some of the bad energy that comes from the lives, because I would always get super drained from these lives. Like, I mean, I would go to bed exhausted. Like, I would shake after some of these lives because I would get so tired, and it was so abnormal. And then they were like, well, it's just the energy funneling, it's people feeding into you. And I was like, well, yeah, but surely it's not that much. Well, and then she taught me how to set some stuff up here around me and to help block some of that. And I have to say, I've done better after the lives. I've not had the super just bouts of shaking and super weakness, so that's been a little bit better. So I keep these little guys around me all the time. Yeah, bugs. And they're trying to make it look like it's a big deal. Like it's a real big deal. They are. I mean, Bill Gates is so socially awkward. Not to mention that he doesn't have a college education. He dropped out of school. He's been in trouble because everything he's built has been piggybacked on something he stole. And it's just like, hello, he's not a philanthropist. You know, you go back to when was it Rockefeller that would throw dimes at people? Well, you know why he was throwing dimes at people? Because he enjoyed watching them run for a dime. He wasn't about to share his knowledge or what he was doing to restructure medicine or anything like that. But he would throw a dime and watch people, and they thought he was so great because he was throwing dimes. He just loved to watch them run for the dime. I thought, how can you look at someone throwing money at you thinking they're doing anything but watching you slobber and fight for it? You throw a dime and it would bounce off my forehead, and I would not acknowledge it, and I would look you dead in the eye and not even go for it. But that's what he did. And I'm like, do we not understand after all these years the mode that these people go into? And because they think they have money, they think they have worth. It's like I said, everybody equates, if you pay for something, it's worth something. I pay for toilet paper. What do I do with it? Just because you pay money for something doesn't mean it's worth anything. And a lot of people just don't know how to wrap their mind around that. They think if someone has built wealth, that they have built it from knowledge. No. No. It's not always built from knowledge. I mean, literally everything that Bill Gates has, he stole. Because everything that he started computer-wise was stole from IBM. He has nothing. And the only thing he really made money on was he learned how to make a virus so that your computer would be sick so that he could be the one to fix it. So he had to poison what he made to make it better again so that you would have to then give him more money. Everything he's made is something that he's created the problem to correct it. So when he shows up on scene, I'm like, what did you create that needs to be corrected now, buddy? I don't trust the man as far as I can spit. And I can spit pretty far. So that's just how I feel about him. And, I lost a friend because I don't care for Bill Gates. Sorry. I don't like the man. I'm not ever going to like the man. I get the heebie-jeebies from him. And if you don't, and it means that much to you, then walk away. I don't have a problem with that. Rockefeller would throw a dime, just a little 10-cent piece. And he would only throw 2 or 3. But they would always say, look at, he's such a great humanitarian. He's throwing his own money to the masses. 30 cents and the man was worth how much? Shut your mouth. He enjoyed watching them scrabble for those few cents. I mean, good grief. Just, they even have pictures of it that people drew and, like, put in art galleries. And it's like, stop. Stop making these people puff up even worse than they already are. I can't believe people fell for that. Thank you, Denise. Denise is coming up. Here is my email. If y'all need to yell at me, if you got bad mojo or need help sleeping or something, you can talk to me about a dream catcher. It's the only thing I make for people that are having problems. Everything else is David's. I just like to tweak it and edit it, and then he deals with his in his Etsy shop, and you can go to his Etsy shop and see what's in his shop currently. I think he's put some more stuff on there lately. I know he put a big hog head on it the other day, a big hog head. So there's quite a bit of stuff from like $9 all the way up to like $500 in his shop. So y'all can go and take a gander. Oh yeah, everybody should. That whole lineage. Quality of products to buy suffer greatly. Yep. Everything's getting smaller. Everything's getting made with less and less stability. It doesn't last as long, or it's made out of pieces that you can't replace, so you can't fix anything anymore. It's horrible. It's horrible. Like they sent me tools. I got that grommet set, and they sent a leather punch with it, a brand new leather punch, which looks and feels good, but it wouldn't even go through my one little coonskin key fob. Wouldn't. Oh, this is the last one. It had the little silver thing on it. It's a beaver. Didn't that turn out cute? That turned out so cute. Oh, you got thread on you. I'm sorry. He turned out so cute. Yep. It's going to get worse. I have no doubt it'll get worse. It's like now Biden's going to forgive all the student loans. But I'm afraid what they're going to try to do is after they forgive this money, even though no money is passed hands, nobody has earned anything additional to pay on it, they just put it in grace and forgave it. I'm afraid what they're going to try to do is do a flip-a-rooney and then ping you on your taxes on unearned income. And then a lot of people are going to have to pay for 10 or 20K that they graced them with that they didn't know they were going to have to pay taxes on, and now everybody's going to be owing a huge amount in taxes. I'm afraid they're going to do that. That's just my thought on it. I'm afraid they're going to do that. I have an old one too. It's so old it's hard to find blades for it now. Like I have to buy them off eBay and odd sites across the internet. But I ain't throwing that thing away. My riding mower is like 25 years old, and y'all, that's in a video not too long back. David's on it. That sucker is 25 years old, but it still works, and we still fix it. We don't throw away nothing that works. My refrigerator, knock on wood, is 20 years old this December. It's still nice and cold. I really probably do need a new one, but I'm not gone there yet. I've had my stove for 20 years. 20 years this December when David and I married. You know, and I don't know where society thought that they had to have the best and newest of everything to have a happy life, because happiness does not come from inanimate objects. Happiness comes from the love and energy you feed to each other, from each other, you know, that you get when you have a bond and like a communal bond and a family bond and a relationship that really goes deep with people. It's not from inanimate objects and things, tinker toys. My goodness, people. Oh yeah, my dryer is really old. Now I did get a new washer because I got a scratch and dent model about 6 or 7 years ago. I got a scratch and dent model at Lowe's, and it had a dent on the front. And I was like, I don't care if anybody stops in my house long enough to say your dryer or your washer has a dent on it. They don't need to be in my house. I was like, with the kids I have, it's gonna have a dent anyway. Just give it to me, and and it saved me so much money. But I still have an old school dryer, and I still use my. Y'all see my laundry line? It wheels out and wheels back in. I use the laundry line a lot too when I'm having good health days. We don't want to waste energy or nothing around here. Yep. Parts of the goods are about to throttle back extremely hard, according to all financial, logistics, and analytic sectors. Shipping, yes. Yep. It's they're fixing to make it a lot harder to live, and you're gonna need some grit in your system. Oh yeah, yeah. These old school mechanics and people that have good brains for how things get fixed and put back together, they're fixing to be super important people in our communities again, because we're not gonna have. You're not gonna be able to go take it and plug it up on a computer anymore. I think our society is probably fixing to break down that bad. It's going to be hands on, tinker toy fixing crap, and everybody for themselves. That's why I'm so happy I have a little redneck savant. Lane is going to be so useful. Yes, they are. Yep, they are. They're trying to make it to where you can't tinker with anything. Even my tires on my Jeep have a sensor in them to where one of my stems is going bad, and I said, "Can't you just replace the stem?" He said, "Yes, but I'm gonna have to do some research because I need to get the air out." I said, "Can't you just cut the stem and bleed it, and then take the stem out and put a new one in?" He said, "No, there's a sensor in there, and if I cut it, it'll read an error and it'll kick that emergency thing." He's like, "I'm not even gonna try to fix that." He said that would get into a huge repair bill. So literally, what we've got to do is on these first few cold nights, when it finally gets below 20 pounds in my tire, which the first few cold nights it should, thank God the body shop is just the end of the road. I've got to run it up to the end of the road, and when it gets below 20, they can use the machine to pop the tire off the rim on its own and then repair the stem. I'm not spending $100 on a tire when it's a $5 stem replacement. It's just like, no, I refuse. So we're going to try to fix it that way. But it's amazing the things that, like, there's certain, like, my family runs a lot of chainsaws. It's amazing how many chainsaws you cannot order parts for anymore. It has started to come down to just a few big name brands that you can get parts for because the other parts are not being made anymore, and you just can't repair them. And you just have to have somebody in your family that is ingenious enough that they can make what they need, or you have to learn to scrap everything. So, and if y'all have seen my craft room, I keep everything. So my husband does as well. He just does it in a neater way than I do. I make a mess, but So I'm hoping that maybe we've got some skills to make it through all this. I know. That's so stupid. I mean, rain catchment is what basically irrigated farms for how many decades before we learned how to do all of this other irrigation. And yet now it's illegal because of mosquitoes. But the government can turn loose mosquitoes tainted with disease, and it's all fun and dandy. That's right? That did happen, right? Or am I just, yeah, that happened, right? It's crazy. See, when we bought, we made sure to buy somewhere that had a freshwater spring on the property. Because I have never trusted anybody, government or nothing. So we made sure to have a freshwater spring on the property. So I have crawdads in my little creek behind the house, a freshwater spring. And that will come in extremely handy should something occur. Also, about 5 miles from my house is a year-round running artesian well, that is the cleanest water that I think I've ever had in my life. So we're set up pretty good should something happen. I just need to buy a mule and name him Ralph. Get a big one, get a draft one so he can pack my fat butt. Oh yeah, we bought bracing bits at the yard sale the other day, and people didn't know what they were. They said, "What are those?" I said, "The old timey drills." It's like you put your hand here and you grab onto this, and I said, it takes forever, but it drills a very pretty hole, and the battery doesn't die. I mean, you might have to take a break, but there is no battery that can die. And they were like, "We didn't know what those were." It's called a bracing bit. Boggled my mind. Boggled my mind. There's a man set up selling hoe handles and pitchfork handles and shovel handles, and his whole family walked by and was like, "He whittles sticks. Why would someone whittle sticks and just sell sticks?" And I was like, "You idiots! They're handles for your garden tools." But people just don't know these things anymore. No, I hadn't checked. I tried to leave him alone. Let's see what he said. I've been pretty good about passing information back and forth with on Patty's page on Instagram. I was talking about Sammy and Megs. Try to figure out her odd behavior. Yeah, that's yeah. I'm glad you picked up on that laugh and yep, the inappropriate laughter. Yeah, he's putting everything together. Yeah, I'm gonna respond to him, see if he catches me. See if he catches me. Okay. Okay. I have responded. We'll see if he yells back at me. Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like they say we can't catch rainwater because of mosquitoes and bugs. But mosquitoes and bugs were not an issue until they started putting disease and turning them loose. Like bad disease and turning them loose. There were some turned off. Was it like Florida up to South Carolina that were let go that had some really bad diseases in them? They just wanted to see if they could spread the disease. Hello? What the crap, government? It's like, why would you do that? But if you look at the Edgewood experiments and a lot of other stuff that happened in our day, you kind of have to look at our government in a different way, and you have to be skeptical, and you have to be Yeah, it puts you in a protective mindset. And the IRS was created to fund World War II, and it was supposed to go away after that. And that's why when people were like, when I was saying, the government doesn't need any more power, let's not give them any more power, because every time they get an inch, they take a mile. And people's like, oh, you don't mean that. There's nothing in our past to show that that occurs. I was like, really? The FBI, the CIA, the IRS, how far do you need me to go? All of these things were created for specific issues that were supposed to then be taken apart, be disassembled, and they never got disassembled again. And now we're stuck with it. And that's why I'm worried about this student loan forgiveness, if they're going to tweak it and make people have to pay the taxation on the forgiven note and hit them at tax time, because Biden has hit everybody hard at tax time. I mean, it's created some issues with our taxes the last 2 years, and we're not wealthy. So it's been like, okay, and they swear up and down. I'm still contesting this. They swear up and down that we got 2 disbursements of aid that we didn't get. And I'm like, I've gone through all my bank statements. The IRS says that only 1 is accounted for. I can see where that one came through. I cannot find any more, but they're saying I got 2 more. I can't find it anywhere. It didn't come to my account. But they say the IRS and all their knowing knows that I got it, and so I still had to pay taxation on it. I didn't get it, but I had to pay taxes on it. And I'm still fussing about that one. And it's like, and you call and you send messages and or send letters and you try to discuss, and they don't care. They're just like, we know it was received. As poor as I am, I would know if it was received. Because if I ever go to the grocery store and don't have to have a calculator in my head as I'm putting things in the buggy, that's a good darn day for me, and I would know. So I just don't trust them as far as I can spit. Don't trust them. Yeah, it's very scary. I think a lot of people have to really. I mean, if you were somebody that looked to government or social infrastructure to say, oh, the world's going to be okay. No, it's not. We're going to have to start looking at each other and communities and communal support. That's how we're going to be okay. Is surrounding ourselves with real people that we are in walking distance from, that we have rapport with, that we have contact with, that we build relationships with, and that we help take care of each other. That's where your bread and butter is going to be in the next 20 years. And I dare say that after we get through the hardest of this, that we're going to have some really great people and good years ahead of us. But we got to get through this crap first. And it's going to be hard. And you're going to have to learn to think for yourself and to be very leery and to think in a different manner and to start looking about not how they can affect you through things, but how they can just affect you. Because a lot of people think that they're affecting us through our technology or through. They're affecting you. They do things every day, allegedly, in our skies and with our weather that affects our bodies. Start looking into how other things affect your body. That's why I say WBAN and human biofield. Start to study those things. Because our bodies are just batteries. Our bodies are just circuit boards. Our bodies are just networks that are full of electricity that work very much like a motherboard. What are they doing? I have several theories. You all should investigate it and come up with your own. Ryan's caught a lot of flack. But you know something? Boy had a lot of good thoughts, didn't he? And that's what happens when you have a good thought and you pave a way and you do something right. People are so terrified of people that have passion and do things right, that do things well. And it's just jealousy and envy of the other people that are knocking them down because they wish they had those skills. I don't care if I look bad or not. I live in the country. I'm telling you, animal behavior has shifted. Animal patterns have shifted. A lot of their breeding and whelping times have shifted. The animals know something's up. Do you know what has not come around since they put up the new towers in my area? Do you know what's not come around my house? That come around my house for like 9 years steady? a group of deer that always had their babies over here in this swamp, and then brought them over into our hayfield and pasture to raise their babies every day and to show them off, but to have a safe fenced place where any predators were not likely to be. Must be raining. It is. And those deer have not been here for 4 years. Turkey, not been here for 4 or 5 years. We had one flock cross the road. There's one flock of 30 across the road about a year ago. Haven't seen them since. They're still around here, but they've changed. They don't walk anywhere near the power lines or those towers. The only thing that comes around, coyotes, predators, opportunistic hunters. Tell me something ain't going on. And I'm not trying to say it in like I'm just, something's going on. Because when animals that have done this and had those pathways for decades start to change their behavior, there's something forcing them to change their behavior. And we need to pay attention to that. Oh, I know. Like, I couldn't wait till the warranty went off of my Jeep because then I could let Lane fix it. I was like, come on, warranty. Come on, get past that date. Because then I could let Lane fix it and nobody could say anything to me. I was like, hurry up. Because it was so expensive. It was stupid. Of course, when I was driving through 5 counties and had to be 3 to 4 hours away from home at a time, I had to have a good vehicle. So I didn't mind when I was working good to pay for a decent one. But then when your health falls to crap, it's like, don't want to, I still needed one to be able to travel to like specialists and stuff, but that was a hefty payment for a while. And I literally was like, come on, warranty, time out so my son can fix some things. Because had I allowed him to do it then, it would have avoided everything else that was under warranty. And so I had to wait till everything was out of warranty. And then I was like, Red Fred, you're up, fix it. And he does a fine job. He will figure out how to fix anything because he hates to be licked. And so he hates to be whipped. So he will figure it out. And I love to watch him get mad. He will fix things. I'm fixing to go to bed too. Thanks for joining in. I had fun. At least it was a different topic and kind of a different, interesting spin on things. I think when the crap hits the fan, I think a lot of people will understand that they do have a lot more skills and a lot more knowledge than they think. I have just kind of bolstered my library with a lot of plant books, herbology books. That's been the biggest thing I've done because my husband snares and traps and trot lines and fishes, and I'm not worried about eating. I just may have to eat things I probably don't want to eat, but that's okay. I'm a fat girl. I get over it. But I think we've got to be prepared to look back at our pioneer ancestors and say, okay, we're going to have to do another livelihood where we live off the grit again. And while it may be rough, I think here in another generation or two, we're going to have some really kick butt people and a much better nation if it holds together. I hope. It's sad when you wake up in a nation you can't even have pride about where you live, and you can't even explain to people what you're happy to be surrounded with without them knocking it, and you can't explain your freedoms to people without them telling you you're an idiot. And the first time we ever heard anyone speak ill about our nation, we should have taken it as such an offense and started to correct the behavior instead of trying to understand and meet them halfway. All that does is make one party walk twice as far because the other keeps saying, meet me halfway. And we are the only ones that took steps. And we can't do that again. We can't compromise again. We have to demand that our way of life is respected, and the way that we are expected to respect everyone else's way of life. It can't be, you can't do that to me, but I can do it to you. And I see a lot of that going on right now. You can't say that to me, but they can say it to anybody else. It's just like, that's not, can't do that. We can't have that going on. My last one timed out because it was like, it's no longer going to function on the network. And I was like, well, crap. But I mean, doggone it. Yeah, the animals have changed a lot. It's like if you're not really in tune with the animals in your area, you wouldn't notice it. If you don't know how to hunt, you don't know their normal birthing patterns. They're like the deer shift. They have a grazing pattern, and and then where they raise their young, and then they have a pattern that they run when they're in the rut and in the winter. And they've been all cattywampus for the last few years. But the biggest thing that has really surprised me is that if they find a nursery, a place to raise their young, they normally will not leave that. They've left it. And we've just had this predator overpopulation the last couple of years, and it's just been strange. And the predator numbers are getting out of hand, and the deer population has kind of slumped back the last few years. It's been kind of reducing a little bit, and it's just been strange. The things that should be thriving aren't, but the things that shouldn't be thriving are, and it's like weird. So it's and farmers have noticed this a lot because livestock are the first target of when you have an overpopulation of predators. And a lot of farmers in this area saw a lot of stuff last year, and so David had to do some extra coyote snaring last year because the coyote population is just out of control. I really think that the gray wolf has already made it down here and bred in, but biologically we can't prove that yet. But we're starting to see the big thick neck, the big lion's manes on the coyotes, which is not normal, and that is a gray wolf trait. So I really think they've already bred in, at least part way, at least partially genetically. Somebody's threw a cousin down here or something and started, because the coyote pelts have changed in the last 4 years. We have normally have a pretty good group. I don't let anybody get too rowdy. We're here to talk and have deep thoughts and laugh. We're more of a family than anything. Yeah, like I'm not worried about going hungry. My husband can catch anything. It just I may have to eat something I don't necessarily want to eat. That'll be okay. I've been in harder times. So we're just gonna have to get through it. To change it and to impact the world, we're just gonna have to get through it. And so everybody's just gonna have to put their head down and put their nose to the grindstone and get through it. That's what we're gonna have to do. And every time we want to give up, we're gonna have to realize that everybody else that came before us didn't get to give up, so we don't get to give up either. And that's just pretty much my mode of thinking on everything. That I am going to push a button on my phone. I'm going to clean up the table and head to bed. David's got blood work in the morning. They have to check his Lyme disease and stuff every so often. He's got to have that checked in the morning. And I'm going to try to tag along and sit in the vehicle. I'm not going to go in the doctor's office, but he's just got to jump in and get blood. And I'm going to sit in the vehicle and just get out of the house, sit in the Jeep. A change of scenery is just sometimes necessary, even if it's just sitting in front, in front of a doctor's office in the Jeep. See, and I'll have and all of my um, all of my plants this year got gargantuan sized. Like everything we grew way better than it's grown in a decade. It was strange. And the coyotes, like I said, are breeding in with the wolves. The black bear here are getting mammoth, even though they're only giving us like 3 archery days again this year. Boggles my mind. But the black bear here are getting gigantic. They're running all over the town, running them up trying to get food already, and it's not even cold. They were in the Pizza Hut trash bin the other day, which scared the crap out of some people, but it's made for cute pictures. But everything is weird, like it's shifting, and I can see it because I pay attention. Like by now, I'm normally hearing geese come back. I've not heard the first goose yet this year, so that is weird because normally they're already starting to come in and stop by and then head on up. It's weird. Things are changing. It's fixing to storm here. I'm gonna have to get off here, but it's fixing to storm. I'm going to shut my mouth and go to bed. Y'all have a good day. We'll try to do this tomorrow or Saturday, depending on how I feel. If nothing else, I will do a community post to check in with everybody. But do your homework, do your research. Make sure you are brushing up on all your skills you may need in the future. And please look into WBAN and the human biofields. Do your research. Put wrinkles in your brain. You'll be happy you did. I'm going to bed. Bye, y'all.